Welcome to Two Flashback Saturday night, and I am joined on the phone by a very, very special guest. On the phone with me, it is Don Dokken. Hello there. How you doing, Don?
Doing great. How you doing, Chuck?
Fantastic. Good to hear from you. You guys are really busy these days, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. I want to kind of flash back a little bit, so to speak. We're going to go all the way back to like 1979, Back in the Streets, and then, of course, Breaking the Chains, Tooth and Nail, and the list of albums goes on and on. What is your take on how music has changed from those early days to present overall and for the band Dokken?
Well, the only really thing that's changed, I mean, of course, music is always evolving, but back then, you could actually go out and tour, and there was a lot more magazines and get everything to the fans. But the biggest thing I guess has changed is that it's become kind of corporate. It isn't like the old days where each radio station had their own person programming and doing what they want. You could kind of get discovered almost, but it's just everything's changed. We got terrorists attacking us, but
yeah,
the music is always evolving. I mean, the biggest thing has changed. I remember there's a trivia thing that in the 80s they said about 800 records came out a year, and now they say about 18,000 records come out a year.
Wow.
So you got a lot more product out there. That's the biggest thing has changed, is the competition.
Lots more to choose from. Well, back in the 80s, people tried to pigeonhole Dokken as another 80s hair band, but, I know that's not the case, and the Flashback listeners know that's not the case. In fact, you guys proved you were an arena rock band. I mean, what's your take on that? I know that was a big issue. They tried to pigeonhole you guys as an 80s hair band.
That. Yeah, I never got that. I mean, any of the fans that remember coming to any of the bigger shows we do, boy, bands like Judas Priest, Van Halen, Metallica, Dio, Aerosmith, we never really toured with that 80s kind of MTV bands,
Yeah.
So I never understood, I guess, why they figured we came from the 80s and we had long hair. But I think the person that could, pigeonhole us like that doesn't listen to Dokken, probably. I mean, we were more on the metal side, if anything.
Absolutely, brother.
You wouldn't pigeonhole Aerosmith as an 80s band from the 70s.
Absolutely, you're exactly, you got it right on the money, and that shows. The people that don't know the music, and they have to listen to the music, and all you got to do is listen to one Dokken song, and right off the bat, wow, these guys are, it's right up there, Judas Priest, and with the rest of the hard rock and the Scorpions, and speaking of the bands that you toured with, it seems that you guys have toured with almost everybody. Is there any band that you haven't played with that you would like to hit the road with at some time?
I don't think we have. The only band I hadn't toured with was Whitesnake, but we did that with the Scorpions about 8 months ago.
Wow!
So we caught them up finally. We toured with AC/DC. That was one of the bands I always wanted to tour. We did that tour also. What I'd like to do, we tour with AC/DC only in Europe and the rest of the world. I'd like to do an AC/DC tour in America. That'd be cool.
Most definitely. Well, we got July 13th right around the corner. You're going to be playing the Trocadero in Philly, and that's going to be kind of like a celebration of releasing the new CD, Hell to Pay, on Sanctuary Records. It's going to be in the stores on Tuesday. Then on the 15th, you're going to be at Croc Rock up in Allentown. You played the Silo here in Reading many times, and I'm sure your fans are going to be traveling to Philly and Allentown to see Dokken Rockin'. So what can the fans expect at the shows here in Philly?
Well, you were mentioning like all those records. We've done so many records now and had so many hits. We're trying to take like one hit or two hits from every record, and we're liking being out on the road headline because we're doing a long show. It's over an hour and a half. We're playing like hits off. We're doing like In My Dreams, It's Not Love, the heavier stuff like doing new stuff off the new album. If there's any song that people want to hear, just call it out because we're doing everything. That's what's cool about the show.
Awesome. I'll tell you, I really like the new album, Hell to Pay. I like the attitude of just releasing the music that you like. It's not what seems to be expected at today's musical sound, you know what I mean? And I find that, and some of today's artists, they can't seem to release new stuff. They got to go back to classic rock and remake it. I mean, I think, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, don't you think it's a bit sad that you got Mariah Carey remaking Def Leppard's Bringing on the Heartbreak,
What's up with that?
Exactly. And I think this goes without asking. You would probably never allow any modern day artist to remake a Dokken song, would you?
Well, if they did it good, that's going to be all right. I just don't see why. I thought they were supposed to be fresh and keep it going forward, not backwards.
Exactly. You got that exactly right. I mean, there are some good talented modern artists out there today. Like, I think some of your favorites are like Trapped, Eve Six,
Yep.
Stain.
Those are good bands.
Exactly.
And they're ballad, they're ballad bands. But I have to look toward tomorrow because, the past is the past. Why Mariah Carey would do that just like she doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Why would? Well, I guess it's because it all goes back to they just can't come up with their own material to do.
How can she make it better? I mean, you don't fix what's not broken. I mean, if I want to hear "Bring It On" the Heartache, I want to hear the original version.
Exactly, and that's what we strive here on the Flashback Show, man. We play all the original stuff. I mean, cool. there were songs that were remade, like Joan Jett redoing "Crimson and Clover," but that was
cool.
That was rock,
But that was like a song. It was kind of a song from the '60s that a generation hadn't heard.
Exactly.
They brought back. I mean, we've done some songs on our live album. We did a remake. We just for fun. We did an ELP song from the beginning, but we did an acoustic version. That was a song, from 35 something years ago. I don't know. I like to write new stuff because I like to write what's in my head at the moment and my inspiration and what's going on in my life at that time.
Very, very true. And, guaranteed it's going to be a rockin' show. The big CD gets released on Tuesday. It's called Hell to Pay. Go to the record store, pick it up on Tuesday, and then go check out Dokken live at the Troc down in Philadelphia. And if you can't make the show on Tuesday night, then get your tail off to see them on the 15th. They're going to be at Croc Rock in Allentown. And if you can get the both shows, get the both shows. Because... yeah. It's a rockin' show. I mean, Dokken certainly rocks. Everybody that I know that has ever, and myself included, every time you come to see a show, rock. That's what you guys are about. We're all about it should be fun. And it should be having a good time, forgetting your troubles for a couple of hours, and just listening to music and just enjoy yourself. That's what we're all about, just having a good time. Absolutely, my friend. I appreciate you joining us on the phone. Any final words for the listeners here? I hope that people who listen to music, they should not be brainwashed into liking, they should pick their own music and decide what they want to hear, and they should be more open-minded and don't let MTV dictate what they have to hear, Yeah. I mean, you got to keep your own identity, That's exactly right, my friend. MTV, no longer music television. It's more they should call that no longer. It's just one big commercial. Yeah, right? More sitcoms than anything. Oh, Jesus. I don't get it, man. I liked it when it was just music all the time. You and I both. I think it needs to go back to... We need to go back to the original roots. That's what it's all about. I dig it. That's where I come from. That's just that's where it's at. If I want to watch sitcoms, I'll turn on a sitcom. If I want to watch music, I got that channel actually blocked from my television. So do I. Yeah, I won't go there. I won't even participate. That's great, my friend. Hey, Don, thank you so much for joining us on the phone tonight. Really, really appreciate it. And I think we need to roll some Dokken right now to get you in the mood for the big show on Tuesday. And don't forget the new CD, Hell to Pay, in the stores Tuesday. Make sure you pick it up. Don, thanks so much for joining us on the phone tonight on the Flashback Show. Cool, Chuck. Stay out of trouble, huh?